My name's Daryoush. I'm 33. I moved to London about 13 years ago. I was studying economics and politics, and I was bored actually, and I wanted to get a summer job, so I came to work in a bar in Shoreditch, and everybody I knew was studying at St Martin's, and I'd always wanted to work for magazines, and one thing led to another, and I ended up doing work experience at The Face. And from The Face I ended up, while I was doing work experience, I got a job there fairly quickly. Then maybe the editor realised that I didn't really know what I was doing, so he sacked me, and then from sacking me I actually got a job with Katie Grand at Pop and worked there for 2 years as associate editor, and saw the world, and got to interview amazing people like Karl Lagerfeld, Miuccia Prada, Tom Ford, Giorgio Armani, and went to New York and Paris and Milan and had an amazing time, and just carried on from that working. I only lived in London from late '98, and I only was working in fashion from 2000, so but it was very, very different. I mean, before people really had blogs, it was a very different scene. Working for a small magazine, maybe it wasn't that there was more or less magazines, but it was very different, so you either worked at the magazine or you didn't. And the scene was much, much smaller. So now you have lots of photographers everywhere, you have lots of bloggers everywhere, you have lots of writers everywhere, you have people working for websites. Shoreditch was much smaller. Not everybody who worked for magazines lived in Shoreditch or in Dalston or wherever in East London. And it was, I mean, the whole scene in East London was way, way smaller. So for Vice UK, I'm basically in charge of the fashion. I head up the fashion for Vice UK. So that means everything from shoots in the magazine to the content in the fashion issue, to working on, to working with the sales team, to working on advertorials, and then I run a website called Vice Style, which is actually a cross-the-board website that's various countries. Take Vice websites to various countries. There's also a German version and a Dutch version. I also edit the German version pretty much, although obviously I don't speak German, but I just decide the content. Yeah, it's a brilliant job. I love working for Vice, and I think it's quite funny actually. A few years ago when I was first working for Vice, a few of my fashion friends were a bit like, well, why are you going there? It's a bit strange. And now I think that people who maybe were a bit snobby about it a few years ago are really seeing how funny it is and how fast we're developing, and the TV programs we're making, and that people are starting to ask me, oh, can we come and see you? Oh, can we, which is great. Well, I mean, it's obviously on the internet. I mean, that's very interesting to see how 2 years ago, 3 years ago, nobody was really advertising online, and it was a big switchover. It was a very quick, big, really noticeable switchover. I think the recession just made everybody look at what they were doing, and they realized that online they could measure the results. And also there was a huge takeoff. I think ASOS basically changed, although the company is quite old, there was a huge takeoff in what they were doing sort of 3-4 years ago, and that just drove the rest of the fashion industry really to take online much more seriously. And once everybody had their site, and once everybody realized that they could drive traffic and see how traffic is driven to the internet, that did a huge change. Obviously the rise of the bloggers was very interesting a couple of years ago, So I think that there will be a combination of, the future will be a combination of video content massively, a combination of working with various bloggers and international networks. You know, the magazines that are going to do really well are the ones that are going to have a international reach. And I think the other thing that's probably, I mean, the magazine as a way to make money is pretty much dead. I mean, our magazine probably makes money on a magazine basis, and I'm sure things like Grazia do, but with smartphones, the people aren't going to buy magazines for much longer. So I would say the future is yeah, obviously the internet, but also things like events, you know, branding, working with people in the industry, that kind of thing, working with the advertisers on content, that kind of thing. Well, I mean, I guess I live on Kingston Road, and pretty much everywhere I go out is within about a quarter-mile radius of Kingston Road. So yeah, I mean, I go out in Dalston a lot. That's, yeah, I'm quite predictable like that. Gosh, I guess still writing, still making content. Yeah, I'm very sure that I don't want to stop making content. It's a lot of fun. The publishing side of things is quite a lot of fun, but I love writing, and I think that's what I will always do.